Hi, my name's Nellie. As it says, I'm a PhD student in the Faculty of Engineering and IT, and I do laugh every time I'm introduced like this or I have to explain that that's what it is, because as you'll hear, I am not an engineer by any stretch of the imagination, and that's really not me being coy. I come from an arts background. Broadly, my research actually looks at how museums can better engage their audiences. And specifically, I'm looking at games as a tool for this. And if you don't spend a lot of time thinking about museums, that might seem like a super niche topic. But museums are storytelling institutions. Often, when we think about the challenges facing museums, it's in this space of interpreting and exhibiting, the storytelling focus, making content accessible and exciting. And this is where I think games have the potential to be really powerful tools. The theory is that by being captivating and entertaining, games can teach complex subjects. But there's a critical design challenge in achieving this, and that's something that my research is really trying to push forward. So when I started in the Wattle Fellowship, this was something that I really wanted to apply to sustainability. There are a range of climate games out there, and I thought, why not adapt one of those and put it in a museum? Museums, as informal and increasingly interactive learning environments, are really predisposed to be able to deliver on climate education in a way that is fun and engaging. And this is content that I know really, really well, which means that it's also very safe and very comfortable. And if you're familiar with the Wattle Fellowship at all, you'll know that those are things that the fellowship is really designed to challenge. Lynn especially saw in me a potential that I hadn't fully acknowledged. And from the start, in fact, I think in my interview even, she said, so are you going to design a game? And I went, don't be ridiculous, Lynn. That's a crazy idea. Because I work around the games industry and I know that it takes teams of people, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, to billions of dollars, and multiple years to make games. And I'm talking like they're in big budget video games, but even smaller indies take a really long time to make. And I really didn't think that I had the skill set. But I also knew that the project plan that I'd submitted wasn't really cutting it. It wasn't pushing me. And I knew that Lynn had my back. So after a bit of work to reframe kind of my own understanding of myself and my skill set, we threw out my whole project plan about 3 months into the fellowship and started again, which meant that in December, when everyone else was kind of starting to get their projects rolling, I went back to the drawing board and started looking at how I was going to make a game. And this paid off. So in January, I did a couple of things. I started talking to people in the industry who had made games. I started reading up on behavior change through games. And then I started sketching out a design for my own game. And this tied back to the sustainability issue that I first came to Wattle with, which is how do you get people to care? And then more critically, how do you translate that into behavior change? Research shows that with regards to sustainability, access to information isn't the issue, it's knowing what to do with it. And then it's feeling like, as an individual, anything that you do actually is going to make any kind of difference. So I started making a role-playing game, because the reading that I was doing indicates that role-play, debate, simulations, these are the best tools we have to teach concepts that you want people to put into practice immediately, because they let you do that in a safe and fictional environment. And while I was working on this, I was invited to speak about my PhD and the Wattle Fellowship at the Science Gallery, which you'll be, if you come to our final event tomorrow, you'll be able to see. But when I was talking about this game, there was a lot of interest there. And after a series of discussions, we ended up bringing the game design project into the Science Gallery, which meant that in February, March, my project kind of stalled again as I had to have a series of conversations with them about the version of the project that they wanted to do and how that aligned with Wattle. But what we ended up doing was opening the project up to one student from each faculty in the university. So this allows me to kind of pass on the opportunity that I have had through Wattle to some other students at the university, and they're going to co-design the game with me. So we're 2 workshops into a series of 8 that I've put together to design this game as a group. And if you come to the Science Gallery in semester 2, when the exhibition launches that I'm not allowed to say yet, you'll be able to come and play this game. Those students are excellent, and I'm really excited to be working with them, and it's made the project, I think, much stronger than I could have done on my own. There's a lot of creativity there and ideas from experiences that I don't necessarily have on my own. And I thought that was great. That was my project sorted. I'd come full circle. I got to put it back in a museum, which is something I'd kind of left in December. And then I got a call from the Powerhouse Museum in Sydney, and they said, hey, we know you do games things with museums. Would you like to come on to a massive grant application we're putting together to teach high school students about heat and the impacts of climate change in Western Sydney? would you like to make a game as part of that? So that program is going to kick off in kind of the second half of the year after I have hopefully done a little bit more with this first one and tried some things. But the big thing that I learned from that is that there's kind of no reward without any kind of risk. And it took, well, what was a relatively small shift in my thinking for this project to go from safe and narrow to wide, exciting, and pretty significantly impactful. My journey with the Wattle Fellowship has been a wonderful lesson about risk and self-perception. Academia has taught me a lot, but it doesn't really give you space to take those kinds of risks in such a supportive environment. Before we wrap up and I pass back to Lynn, I just want to do a quick round of thank yous as well. Firstly, thank you to EY for having us today. We really appreciate it. To Kate and the team, from the fellows especially, I know Lynn will thank you in a moment, but thank you for putting on such a, I can't see Kate. She's not in the room. On behalf of the fellows, thank you for putting on such a wonderful event series for us. To the other fellows, it has been a privilege and a joy to get to work with you and hear everything that you've been doing, especially today. And to Lynn, Matt, LeMay, and JB, who are the staff on the Wattle team, thank you so much. I don't really have the words, I think, to put together for how much it means to me that this program exists, but I know I speak on behalf of the cohort when I say thank you so much. All right, back to you.